Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 246 of At Odds with Wrestling. Joe and Adam here. Adam, hello. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I hurt my ankle yesterday, but other than that, I'm good.
Can you... I assumed it would have been your thumbs or your wrists.
Well, see, the problem is I've been playing too much video games lately, so when I do try to do physical activity, my body's like, no, I thought we gave this up.
Gotcha. I've been trying to get out and get some fresh air, in the morning, because my kid don't have school, but my body's still regulated to getting up that early.
Yeah.
And I'd been going out for like a walk in the morning, but it's been like so shitty and rainy here. Finally, it's good as rain as an old man, but it's like I can't go out for a walk in the pouring rain at 7:30 in the morning,
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But, like, this is the first time it's rained in such a long time around here, and, like, this is the weather portion of the show.
Yes.
My yard is, like, a shade of brownish gray, and it's crunchy when you walk on it.
Yep.
So I'm like, well, at least, I won't have to worry about mowing the lawn. Not that I do it, but I have a guy. And 2 days ago, I wake up at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning with the sound of a lawnmower going, and I look out my window. The son of a bitch is out there mowing dead grass just to get his money out of me for the week.
Oh,
so mad.
So it's like a standing thing that he just comes and mows it, whether it's good or bad?
Every other week. And
Okay.
it's normally not a problem because grass grows, but it's been dead. Like there's not an ounce of green out there, but he was just going through the motions so he can collect a paycheck. I was so pissed.
Yeah, listen, he's not the first person to do it. He won't be the last person to do it. But I have a neighbor on my side. They are the keeping up the lawn people.
Mm-hmm.
So like when it's been shitty, they're out there like sodding things and watering, and they have like the burlap tarps down so new shit can grow and not get like blasted by the direct sun. So their lawn is like lush, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like they don't have jobs, I guess, so they can spend their time doing that,
Yeah. That's why I don't take care of my yard. I'm just too busy every day.
Yeah.
Working hard.
But I was out before we recorded here. I was out bowling. Jerry says hi, by the way.
Oh, hello.
Because Thursdays is the combo like money league night, but it's also family night. So we've been going like the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I used to be a halfway decent bowler like a long time ago. And today I bowled 151, which is the highest I've bowled in a very long time, and it felt really good. I'm just saying that on the podcast.
There you go. Did you have bumpers in the lanes? Or
no, I didn't.
Use that rack that you put the ball on?
No, it's a dinosaur, but yes. I mean, no. I have my thing, and, my kid did the league over the summer, and, like, he's just trying to work out his throw, and, we have the future weekly purchase here coming up of getting him his own ball once the new league starts up, because he didn't want to do summer league. He just want to be a bum. But I get it. Listen, we all want to be bums, but, got a busy weekend ahead of us.
Yeah, I haven't bowled probably since college. So, I'm an old man, so that's been a long time. I bowled in high school. There was like a high school league because I was really cool, and that was something to do.
I was in the high school and the college league when I went to college the 2 years that I did and didn't finish.
Yeah, but I don't think I've ever bowled. Like, I was terrible. Like, I probably bowled maybe 130, 140s my high score. Yeah, not very good.
Yeah, it's just like because we would go and my kid would bowl, but like these last 2 or 3 weeks, me and my wife have been bowling as well. It feels good. It's a low impact lazy man's sport, I guess.
Yeah, we need to have a soon to be named network bowling night.
Mm-hmm. We do we do it in the basement down at LVAC shows.
All right, well, we can start there.
All right. Well, speaking of which, we got an actual show. Enough of our nonsense. Nobody cares about this part. This is what you care about, right?
And now, At Odds with Wrestling presents This Day in Wrestling History.
So we're going to bounce around a bit with This Day in Wrestling History, right?
All right.
So on this day in wrestling history, 1996, The Great American Bash emanated from beautiful Moline, Illinois. We are just about, if this is 90, this would have been, I get my apologies, I have 96, it was actually 97. So we're about a year into the NWO angle, right?
Okay.
But like, you got Hall and Nash on the show against Piper and Flair, no Hogan, because like Hogan, like people forget, like he would only do like every like third pay-per-view back in the day,
Well, he had Thunder in Paradise to film.
Oh, sure, that's what it was. But the main event of this one was Macho Man versus DDP in a Falls Count Anywhere match. DDP won their first match that they did back at Spring Stampede. Macho Man won this one. But this was, part of them elevating DDP to that main event status,
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but one of my favorite storylines of that era was Macho Man cutting promos from the crowd and DDP getting the edge and then running through the crowd to escape. That's what got him over.
Right. And I have some, maybe some wrong dates on some of this stuff, so I got to fix this. Yeah, that's what I figured. I did my numbers wrong. All right. So also on this day in 2003, World Wrestling Entertainment held the pay-per-view Bad Blood, which they would shortly get away from. But this was during Goldberg's run into the company. He had just beat Rock at Backlash, and now he's beating Jericho at this pay-per-view. The main event was Triple H versus Kevin Nash in a Hell in the Cell match.
I'm sure that must have been great then.
It was okay. Wasn't horrible. Obviously I saw people tweeting the other day that there was a Shawn versus Hunter Hell in the Cell match that apparently was much, much worse.
Is that the one that Ed was at?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that has more to do with Ed being there, right?
He brought the whole show down.
But I vividly remember I did not see this pay-per-view live because I was on vacation visiting family down in Alabama, and we were watching Raw, the next night, and my little niece had to be like 3, and as they were showing the clips of the pay-per-view, she just kept saying, "Stop fighting. Stop fighting." It's one of my, she's like graduated college and like has a real job, but it's one of the memories I have of her. But a match also on this show was Scott Steiner versus Test.
For the love of Stacy Keibler, for the services of Stacy Keibler.
The love. You listen where your mind goes. The services of Stacy Keibler, yes.
Oh, good times. That was also around the angle of the testicles.
Yes.
All the test fans for testicles. Oh, great television. WWF is the best.
It was sad to see how quickly and how far Scott Steiner fell down the card in WWF. Like, he debuts at Survivor Series 2002 with like a fanfare where like both brands are fighting for him. He decides to go to Raw and immediately gets the 2 pay-per-view program with Triple H, with Royal Rumble and No Way Out. And they're both terrible pay-per-views, or they're both terrible matches. He's not even on WrestleMania. And then, no offense to Tess, no offense to Stacy Keibler, but like, this is like opening card bullshit stuff that he's doing,
I don't know. If you're in a program with Stacy Keibler, I mean, you should probably do that for free. Like, you're not there for where you're at on the card or for the championships. If you're in a program with her, you're happy.
I guess. So there is no paparazzi production on this day in wrestling history in 2006. Well, there is, but there isn't. If you remember from last week, Kevin Nash is making his debut in the X Division and is taking on a Sabin-esque wrestler. And if you know Kevin Nash and you know TNA, you know where that angle led to. It's all very visual stuff, so it doesn't play for our stupid audio only podcast,
Mm-hmm.
But if you can find it online, go check it out.
How many flips did Nash do in that match to win? Was it like a 450?
He did a move off the ropes.
Okay.
I'll leave it up to you to decide what rope it was. It was he left his feet, which I was shocked by.
Yeah, notorious high flyer, big sexy.
Yes. Now, also on this day in wrestling history, and again, technically not wrestling, but I would be remiss Because on this day in 1991, there was the first ever World Bodybuilding Federation pay-per-view was held.
World Bodybuilding Federation Championship.
Again, much more visual as well, but
a lot of close-ups of arms, legs, abs, chest.
You have to imagine this is what's in Vince's mind all the time.
All the time. With close to his eyes, what he's seeing. Vince looking great these days, by the way.
From Atlantic City, New Jersey, and the Taj Mahal, where they're going wild in this 8th wonder of the world, we bring you 13 wonders of the world. The World Bodybuilding Federation Superstars. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Lewis, along with the Golden Eagle, Mr. Universe, Tom Platz. And Tom, you know, it's just under a decade to the year 2000. But for the sport of bodybuilding, the next millennium is here and now, right now.
Most definitely. You know, bodybuilding will never, ever be the same again. In fact, when I first saw the stage, I thought Michael Jackson or Madonna was going to walk out. But instead, we have 13 of the best bodybuilders in the world competing for the first WBF championship. And believe me, they definitely want to make history.
Let's let history begin.
We're going to watch
And history begins with the WBF Body Rockers.
Oh, hello. Nothing like choreographed dance on a podcast.
Listen, everyone's enjoying the music, right?
Yeah. This is awesome.
There was a time where I was going to assign one of the WBF pay-per-views as homework.
There was more than one?
Okay, well, we'll get into this. So, this clip is almost over. So, obviously, this did a very poor live attendance, you know, and it also did very poorly on pay-per-view itself. But this one, they actually attempt to play straight. And the second one, they have Gene and Bobby as the co-hosts instead of whoever those two bums were.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
It's much more of a WWF production, like an entertainment production, you know?
Yeah. Was the first one the one that had, like, the special presentation by Lex Luger? Like, the guest posing?
No. Okay. So this one has the guest posing. No, what is this?
First one, because that's the only one I knew existed.
No, okay. So the second one has Lex doing the guest posing.
Okay.
Yeah, because if this is 91, Lex is still in WWF. He doesn't come to. No, hang on. Wait a minute. No, this one 91, the first one. Okay, I was again because Luger leaves. No.
Yeah, his first WWF appearance was in the WBF.
Right, and it was it was WrestleMania 92, WrestleMania 7, which was 92. No, WrestleMania 8. Again, my mind is fried tonight. So it was Mania 8, and people are yelling at me.
Mm-hmm.
Mania 8, which was 92. So this is 91. So he does the guest posing at 92. Because he's still in WCW at this point. Because
okay.
It's the second pay-per-view.
All right. And yeah, and it was because I was very confused because I'm like an 11-year-old kid at this point. Like I thought this was going to be like worked. Like there was going to be people on this that are wrestling. Like didn't the guy who won it win twice? Like was it Strider or Gary
Stridham? Yes.
There we go. I thought like, oh, okay, when's he going to have his run? You know, when's he coming in and challenging somebody for a belt? Because I didn't get that it was just a weird vanity project of Vince and probably his only one ever, you know?
No, they ended up doing a second one.
I just meant his only pet project, his only vanity project. But
no,
okay.
So he had done, prior to this, he did one of the Evel Knievel jumps on pay-per-view.
Okay.
He did a Sugar Ray Leonard boxing match on pay-per-view. That was like promoted by the WWF, Titan Sports, whatever. He does the WBF, of course, which is, Ico Pro integrates into all of this as well.
You gotta want it.
And then he does the XFL. So everything other than wrestling, and WWE Films, of course. So everything other than WWE, like actual wrestling that Vince does, is always a failure.
Well, you just contradicted yourself because WWF Films is far from a failure.
Mm-hmm. It's only being propped up by this podcast.
Well, those are some pretty good props.
Yeah. So on this day in 1998, of course, we have our head-to-head Monday Nitro versus Monday Night Raw. Raw, again, it's not a clippable show, but this is like the go-home show for King of the Ring. They're still doing King of the Ring qualifying matches on the show. Sable's back after being gone for 3 weeks and never to return.
From her getting pinned by Mero?
Yes.
Okay.
She's already back. The angle is... because we didn't do the clips of it last week, but last week they did a whole Vince getting a Humanitarian of the Year award, and Austin comes out and stuns everyone. And this is one of those things where like Vince is trying to prove to the fans of how good he is. He could just fire Steve Austin and strip him of the title, but he chooses not to. Granted, he's stacking the deck against him, but he's showing how much he listens to the fans and gives the fans what he wants, and he brings Sable back. And this is like kind of the beginning of like Sable being like in the thrall and whatever of Vince McMahon, like leading up to the corporation and stuff.
Okay, but she was never actually in the corporation, was she?
No, she never was. But like this is like the beginning of like Vince amassing like that group of people.
Okay.
Or other like actual wrestlers other than like Patterson and Briscoe,
Sure.
Main event is the main event of the show is Austin and Undertaker versus Kane and Mankind in a Hell in a Cell match.
Well, that's a hell of a free match for the go-home show to a pay-per-view.
Well, it's all the principles of the two main events at King of the Ring. Austin, we're doing the tag match here. We're doing the two matches at the pay-per-view where it's, of course, Undertaker versus Mankind in the Hell in a Cell match. And it's Undertaker versus Kane in a First Blood match, which becomes a Hell in a Cell match. Spoilers, everyone.
No. I was going to watch that now. You ruined it.
Yeah. Over on Nitro, of course, the only like this. So this is the night after Great American Bash, 1998. Whatever. Like I'm so checked out of most upper card WCW stuff. But the pay-per-view had a singles match between Wolfpack Sting and the Giant, who were previously the tag team champions.
Okay.
The winner of the match, they were tag team champions together as WCW representatives. Giant defects from WCW to join NWO Hollywood. Sting defects from WCW to join NWO Wolfpack. They have a match at the pay-per-view where the winner gets to be the tag team champion and choose whoever they want as their tag team partner.
Not confusing at all, but go on.
Right. So Sting chooses Kevin Nash to be his tag team partner as tag team champion. But then this begins the Giant's character on TV where he begins smoking on TV.
Oh, automatically got cooler. Ripping heaters.
Again, WCW is a mess. Upper card. The only part of WCW that's good is the Jericho stuff. Now, again, there's stuff that happens on this episode of Nitro involving Jericho, but if we don't play the accompanying thing that happened on Thunder, it doesn't make any sense.
Of course, we'd be irresponsible if we didn't play it both.
Right, so for the second week in a row, I have to play a clip from Thunder to set up our clip from Nitro because it's the Jericho stuff. So let's go to what happened on Thunder.
All right.
Now, if you intend to wear this belt, the executive committee is ordering you, Chris Jericho, to appear at the Great American Bash this Sunday. You will go in the ring. Dean Malenko has already agreed to it. You will face each other at the Bash this Sunday, and let's see who really rightfully deserves to wear this belt, because you're not getting it tonight. That's the way to do it.
I'm the champion. I don't need a rematch against Malenko.
I'm the champion. I deserve the belt. I legally proved that I'm the champion in this. Dad, what are you doing? Dad, what are you doing here?
It's Chet Irvine. Mr. Irvine, go ahead.
Chris, I came from Canada to watch you wrestle. And all I've heard and seen of you tonight is whining, crying, and bellyaching. What kind of professional athlete are you?
Dad, you don't understand. This is Dean Malenko. He came out here. It's a conspiracy theory against me.
Shut up. Shut up, Chris. I had the privilege of playing in the National Hockey League for 13 years. I never backed down from anybody. I won some, I lost some, but I never backed down. Look at those banners up there. French Connection. Timmy Horton, a teammate of mine.
He was a teammate with a restaurant?
Oh. But Dad!
Chris, shut up. Those were true professionals. That's what I wanted you to be like, Chris. So, Chris, keep your big mouth shut. If you want the belt, indeed,
Howdy, Jericho.
get in the ring and earn it like a man. Until you beat Dean Malenko in the ring, you will never, ever be a true champion. Sorry to interrupt.
Anytime.
But Dad! Dad, wait!
I guess we're going to have a champion.
Oh, such good stuff.
Yeah, like, how dare Ted Irvine treat his kid like that? Just trying to get ahead in the wrestling industry, all these people conspiring against him, and he can't even get the support of his own deadbeat dad.
Knowing how to get the cheap pop I mentioned of the local sports team. And it would have been, like, I get what they were going for, but it would have been so great if Ted Irvine hit the ever, like Jericho does, you know?
Yeah. Well, was he doing that? Yeah, I guess he kind of started before that, yeah. Oh, man. Also, kind of related, but off topic of that clip, I always wondered why there was never any, like, some sports company like Topps or Leaf or whatever do a dual autograph Ted Irvine Chris Jericho card. There's no joint merch between those two guys.
It's listen, Upper Deck has the AEW cards from if only there was a way that you can convey this information to Chris Jericho himself.
Well, I hear the Twitter blocks don't work anymore, so I might be able to get through to him.
Oh, really?
Well, all the ads I blocked are no longer blocked.
You and I need to have a conversation about that off air.
We have to do something about that. But
all right.
Yeah, if somebody can just, maybe DM Chris Jericho, tell him to unblock me and that I apologize and please forgive me, and I can convey that to him.
All right. Well, let's find out what happened at the pay-per-view on Nitro here with this clip.
All right.
As much as this pains me personally, and before I have to listen to any more whining and crying or wasted trips to the Library of Congress to find some ridiculous loophole.
Listen to the crowd cheering him.
Pain.
Yeah.
Look at this. Here's a pain for you. A pain of the posterior.
I am the champion, Mean Gene.
Freddie Mercury would flip in his box tonight if he heard you.
JoJo Dillon, Judgment Day has arrived. The birds are singing. There's dancing in the streets. And all of the Jerichoholics are in their true glory. Why? Because once again, I am the new Cruiserweight Champion of the World!
I think you just insulted our...
So do what you don't want to do and give back the true champion his prized possession. Give me my belt, baby!
JJ Dillon?
Before I give you the belt, I want you to fully understand one condition. In recognizing you as the WCW Cruiserweight Champion, it is with the understanding that you will defend the title within 30 days.
He's reaching out for the belt.
You'll defend the title within 30 days against Dean Malenko.
Hey, Dean Malenko.
Hey, hold on a second, Jerky. Don't you know who you're dealing with? I went to the Library of Congress. I know all the rules. Yes, I do have to defend the belt within 30 days. No, I don't have to face Dean Malenko if I don't wanna, or anybody else if I don't wanna. And besides, I've beaten Dean Malenko so many times. He's nothing but a worthless loser, just like his dear old daddy.
Ah! Oh my God! Malenko out of nowhere.
Cheap shot.
We've got obliteration here, and it's coming over near the
unprovoked attack from Dean Malenko.
Jericho. And Dean Malenko like a man possessed.
Somebody help Jericho.
Just like last night. Leaving off, or picking up actually where they left off yesterday outside in Baltimore. Bobby the Brain Heenan is.
Oh my goodness. Such classic stuff. Such just unbelievable stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. I hope Jericho's okay there. That's all that matters. You know, is he going to be fit to defend his title? Because he's a fighting champion. He'll defend it every week against anybody that wants to.
Right.
You know.
We're at least once every 30 days.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
All right. So last but not least, on this day, wrestling history, 2008, 15 years ago. I feel old, and you should too. From Hellertown, Pennsylvania, was Young Lions Cup Night 3 from Chikara. Up and down the card, a very interesting card. Very funny in retrospect, all things considered, et cetera, et cetera. We had Tim Donst taking on Ethan Page.
Hey, I know those people.
During the match, Ethan Page, like, his gimmick was like he's a movie star or like the highlight reel or some shit like that. And he works into the match a bit, like doing with like like a television remote, you know?
Okay.
Like
controlling himself.
Things. Yeah. Okay. You have the Osirian Portal taking on Sarah Del Rey and Bobby Dempsey with a little bit of tenuous Ring of Honor crossover here. Eddie Kingston versus Soldier Ant. You'd be surprised these two beat the shit out of each other. Brody Lee versus one of the most redacted people of all time, Drake Younger. You'd be surprised these two people beat the shit out of each other.
Oh, I hope Brody gave it more than he got it.
And in the main event, the way the Young Lions Cups works is here's singles matches on night 1, here's singles matches on night 2, and then there's a 6-person eliminator at the end of each of those nights. The winners of those 6-person eliminators go into a singles match in the main event of this. And the main event was Vin Gerard taking on Fire Ant for the Young Lions Cup.
Ooh. All right.
Now, having just talked to Jerry today, Vin Gerard of Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium, and I'm like, hey, getting ready to do the podcast tonight. I go, it's 15 years since that match. And he goes, oh, really? He goes, glad that worked out for the other guy, huh? And I said, time still can tell, you can come around. You can come back at any time,
Yeah, he can get his run. I mean, I hear Fire Ant, he wrestles a lot. He defends certain titles a lot,
Yeah.
Can have Vin Gerard come in.
So, okay. So, it's been 15 years. Talk about things. So, this ended up being the last show that Chikara did in Hellertown at this building. They had been running at this building since like 2005. And they were told this day that they weren't going to be able to run there anymore for whatever reason, okay? That was not in my pay grade, but we were told that this would be the last time that we were running here. This building is down the road. And when I say down the road, it's maybe like 2 or 3 miles away from Sokol's, right? Mm-hmm. That main drag when you come in off of 22, if you just keep going straight toward the casino, you go past the casino, past Steel Stacks, past the Turkey Hill, past the Waffle House that's there, and then you go down a little bit further, and it's Hellertown history, right?
Yeah.
So Vin Gerard was originally supposed to win here. But because this was the last Hellertown show, Quack decided to go out on a high note and have Fire Ant win instead. That was not the plan. The very next show, they do a rematch. Vin Gerard gets the cup back. He wins the Young Lions Cup so that they could do what the summer program was supposed to be for Jerry, but they wanted this show to go out on a high note, right? Because I know these guys, and again, listen, I'm very biased. I know both these guys. And there's a match that's available for free on YouTube, through Chikara's YouTube channel. It's, if you have IWTV, Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium, the show is on there as well. But this was like one of the first matches that I got to help like agent, I guess.
Oh, Booker Man Joe.
Because I know these two guys, and they were going over stuff, and they're like, you have any ideas? And I have a ton of ideas. And, I never, like nowadays, I will. Like, nowadays, I feel as though I've been doing this a long time now, almost 18 years, more than that, whatever. And if it's people that I know, sometimes I'll give my input. Or if they say, hey, whatever, and I'll give like a million ideas, because I think about wrestling all the time. I have a million ideas. So there was a bunch of spots in the match, like a bunch of cutoffs, and there's a bit in the match, spoilers everyone, where Jerry hits Fire Ant with some move on the outside, and then because of the 20 count on the outside in Chikara, he takes Fire Ant and like drags him out the front door.
Okay.
And then runs back into the ring, and like he's gonna win that way, right? And that was my idea. And they're like, "Oh my god, that's like such a good idea! Like that's such a shitty thing for a heel to do." And they did it in the match, and it got like a great reaction. And like I'm like, it made me feel good that they listened. Not that I said that, because they could have just said, "Hey, Joe, you got an idea?" I give them a bunch of ideas, and they don't use any. I'd be like, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that like these guys came to me, they're like, "Hey, do you have any ideas?" I gave them ideas and they used them. It felt good, Put myself over a little bit.
There you go. Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
When, we got to get you back to agenting matches, I think.
I do enough. I do enough. If people want my help, they can get it. I give suggestions. I give, whatever. But that's, again, other people's job to do. No. I usually... I give the agent report, like the old WWE house shows when Vince would call up Jack Lanza and say, "How'd the house shows go this weekend?" That's usually my call on Monday after an LVSE show weekend.
I think somebody tomorrow night should come up to you, like the people involved in the match, and just have you agent the whole match.
Well, listen, I could tell some people right now who might listen to this show how to agent their match. Don't leave your feet.
Yeah. Get to the merch table quickly,
figure out where intermission is and make sure your match is right before intermission.
Yeah.
So you can leave from the ring and go right over to the merch table. But he already knows that. He don't need me, or whoever the person is. They don't need me to tell them that. They know this,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's a little bit bigger of a day in wrestling history, but just a bunch of quick hits that I wanted to hit,
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into what we'd like to talk about from this last week in the world of professional wrestling.
All right, I guess this time I'll start.
This time.
Yeah, just this time. AEW, I don't know if you've heard of them, but they heard the internet trolls. They heard that all they do is complain that matches are just thrown together. There's no storyline. So you know what they said? You want storylines? We're going to give you all the fucking storylines in one segment. And that was how the main event ended of this past week's Dynamite. You had the Blackpool Combat Club versus the Hung Bucks, Joe's favorite trios team. And at the end of the match, we had an Orange Cassidy pop when Eddie fucking Kingston came out. He's coming out. He's attacking Claudio because that was the storyline in Ring of Honor. And it's like, holy shit, they're going to run this back. But then Mox gets in the ring and gets between them. So it's like, hey, remember the storyline from a year or two ago where Eddie Kingston and Moxley were best friends? It's like, holy shit. And that causes conflict between Mox and the Blackpool Combat Club. And then Takeshita runs out. And then he's chased off by Kenny Omega because of the whole Don Callis thing. And then we have Will Ospreay show up and he lays out Kenny Omega because of the Forbidden Door storyline. And it was just like, hey, here's a ton of storylines converging on one chaotic segment. I loved it. And aside from Sky Blue versus Tony Storm, this was probably the best thing on wrestling this week.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to disagree with that. You know, I just have it in my notes simply as Eddie's back.
Yeah.
But that was just like the first part of it. I loved the ending, right? Mm-hmm. I like when the other storylines, it was like, we are looking at the Attitude Era right now. 25 years on, and we were saying how, 25 years on, a lot of stuff doesn't hold up, like individual things, but concepts and theories of the Attitude Era do hold up, where storylines cross over, like you mentioned. Where you have like that big show closing brawl with like this storyline and this storyline and this storyline, and it's just kind of all breaking down. Wrestling, for the most part, should be chaotic. It should feel like anything can happen at any time, and the ending of Dynamite certainly felt that way. It's definitely letting us know that these are all of our main event angles. Now, I'm not going to get into the bad faith people that are like, well, I don't understand what all these stories are. You're just doing this for social media engagement, and you're a piece of trash. The one thing that I'll give you is maybe this should have been the go home for Forbidden Door, but we've still got 5 more TVs before Forbidden Door, and a lot can happen between now and next Sunday.
Yeah, they're still going to, in order to sell some pay-per-views. I know that at the end of the day, this is a pay-per-view not for casuals, but for wrestling fans. So, but they're still going to try to reintroduce a lot of the players, whether it be in, tag team matches and stuff like that. But over the next week or so before the pay-per-view. But as long as they figure out a way to maybe get rid of Jungle Boy from the Sonata match, I think there's plenty of time, TK. You can call an audible on that. Have somebody lay out Jungle Boy backstage. Stop trying to make main event Jungle Boy a thing.
I disagree with everyone in this regard.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Again, obviously, I defer to you when it comes to knowledge of Japanese wrestling, of course, and what Sonata's place is, of course. But I will say, if you're not going to give up on the Jungle Boy project, and it certainly seems like the 4 pillars are not being given up on, obviously outside of MJF, but it looks like they're still leaving Darby at the top of the card. It looks like they're finally going to pull the trigger on the Sammy Jericho feud, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you're going to keep these guys all at the top of the card, you got to do something with Jungle Boy. And if this is what it is, I don't think Jungle Boy is a terrible wrestler by any stretch of the imagination. I actually think he's a really good wrestler, but he's not a great wrestler. And I think a match with Sonata is definitely going to be a sink or swim moment for him. And if there's any time that Jungle Boy is going to show his doubters, his detractors, or the people who don't give a shit about him what he could do, this is your opportunity.
Oh, there's that word.
Exactly.
I'm just of the mindset, and I got nothing against Jungle Boy. I hope he has a great match against Sonata. It's just, we get this Forbidden Door once a year. So you kind of hope for dream matches, Maybe I'm spoiled by the fact we're getting Danielson Okada or Kenny Omega versus Ospreay. There's a lot of those types of things, and I'm like, oh man, this would have been a great opportunity to put another top guy in there with Sonata. And yeah, they're trying to make Jungle Boy a top guy, but I'm just not buying it. So I'm fine with you showcasing him on an AEW pay-per-view, but these are so rare. It's like giving a guy a WrestleMania match,
Who do you put Sonata in there against instead?
Moxley?
Okay.
I'm just thinking like guys that have already established themselves as world champions, I don't want to say Jericho, but I'm looking at world champions, MJF has got his thing already. Jericho, Moxley, Kenny Omega's got his thing already. Top guys. Orange Cassidy's got his thing already. Wardlow? I don't know.
Okay, so that being said, so you put Moxley in there against the IWGP champion and have Moxley lose?
Well, I mean, every challenger is going to lose.
Should Moxley lose to Sonata?
I see no reason why not. He's presented as like a stable guy now. He's part of a sum of great, like the parts are greater than, or the sum is greater than the parts type of situation.
I just think from what little bit that I've gleaned from the timeline in regards to Sonata, I think this is more of a way to give Sonata a win. Obviously, because he's newly crowned IWGP champion, you can't have him lose. And Moxley will eat him up. At least Jungle Boy will go whatever, and it'll be like a nice showcase for both of them. I get where you're coming from. I got no problems with this match. But again, I'm not the Japanese wrestling aficionado that you are and other people on the network are.
Yeah. Honestly, this when they introduced him in that video package, that's the first time I ever saw Sonata.
Okay.
I've heard the name from We Need Wrestling, but
right.
I have not watched any IWGP or New Japan stuff since he became champ.
Now, I will also ask, since you had brought up her name, did you watch Sky Blue on Hey EW this past Sunday?
A lot of people tagged me on it, but I don't want her to get pregnant, so I'm keeping my distance.
Give it a watch.
Yeah,
give it a watch. I don't want to I don't want to be the one to spoil it for you.
I know the big hook that was teased of why she was excommunicated from her church, because I saw the WWE stands being like, TK, how are you putting a person like this on your television?
Do you understand that she was probably like 12 when she did this? And anyway, okay, so I'll say this. It wasn't until she talked about lighting another child on fire in her church that she came off as someone who has little to no personality. And pun intended, she really lit up when she got a chance to talk about lighting a person on fire.
That's scary and or a big plus. I don't know.
And over under, Adam, do you think Mama Blue is older or younger than you?
Like her mom, you mean?
Yeah, her mom who was on TV this week. And in a pre-tape that was on like a thing to set up the match for Collision.
I'm just gonna assume because you're saying this and because Sky Blue's 23 that her mom's probably younger than me.
I have no clue how old she is, but I'm just saying. I'm asking you to wager a guess for me. That's all.
I don't know. All I know is I look great for my age.
Okay.
What do you got?
Okay, what I got is, obviously it feels like it was forever ago because it was. The match is happening, I think, this week on Collision. I don't know because I didn't look at the spoilers, but it was set up on last week's Collision, the big 6-person match, where I thought, everyone's like, we got the Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus Saraya and Jericho. And I said, broke is that match. Woke is Mark Briscoe and Aubrey taking on Double J and Karen. AEW one-up me with the announcement that it wasn't going to be that. It wasn't going to be a tag match. It was going to be a 6-person match where it was going to be Double J, Jay Lethal, and Karen Jarrett taking on Aubrey Edwards, Mark Briscoe, my apologies, Mark Briscoe, and Papa Briscoe. On his podcast this week, Jeff put over that Karen doesn't know anything she doesn't know any wrestling moves or holds. She's just going to beat the shit out of Aubrey. And then Conrad was talking about how the main event of Collision for this week, which got announced, it's Samoan Joe and Bullet Club Gold against Cumfarter. And Conrad put the thing that the matchup that he wants to see is Karen Jarrett versus CM Punk. And I say my money is all on Karen Jarrett. Put all the money on Karen.
Now, I know that you have firmly established yourself as anti-Aubrey Edwards, not as a person, but specifically for her chicanery as a referee.
She has cost Double J, the AEW Tag Team Champions, not once, not twice, but thrice. Shameful behavior, biased refereeing.
Now, with that being said, are you going to root against Briscoe and Papa Briscoe?
I got no choice.
Okay, I was just making sure that you weren't going to pull some chicanery where you're like, oh, well, if they can eliminate Aubrey, then it could be a tie.
I love Mark Briscoe. Papa Briscoe is one of the most underrated characters in all of professional wrestling. But Double J is Double J, and he's got the Queen by his side.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Okay, just making sure.
Right.
That's going to be on the first Collision. That tag match?
Okay, so I think it was taped for Rampage this week. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going by what we've seen, which was them doing the angle on last week's Rampage to set the match up. Jeff, when he recorded his podcast this past weekend, certainly seemed to think it was being taped for Rampage this week.
Okay.
That's all I can say,
Fair enough. All right, Joe. I have one last thing.
Okay.
And that is that Merriam-Webster.com defines coward as one who shows disgraceful fear or timidity, lacks courage or firmness of purpose. The reason why I mention this is because on July 29th at VCW, Virginia Championship Wrestling.
Here we fucking go.
What's that?
Here we go.
Cowardice is on display for the world to see. And that is because that man with the yellow streak up his back, and that's not Tanner, that's cowardice. Broski will not be challenging the top guy in the territory, the ace of VCW. He will be challenging, checks my notes, Brandon Scott. And I'm sure this Brandon Scott guy is a good hand, but you know what? He's not the champion. He's not the boar. Broski says it's all about the money, the buzz, and the gold. If you haven't heard him say that, you haven't listened to any of his podcast appearances in the last year and a half. But you know what? Money comes from main eventing, which is where the boar will be. The buzz comes from wrestling the most toyetic SOB on the indies. And the gold is when you wrestle for the championship. How can you be the belt collector or the indie god if you're afraid to challenge the champion? At least Steph DeLander is not a giant coward. She'll be facing Erica Lee. But Broski is ruining this. He's ruining what was going to be the soon-to-be-named network meetup of the summer. And I'm just super bummed. And I'm glad for his health that he's not going to get squashed by the boar. But this is throwing my Major Bendy plans in the garbage. This is ruining everything. When I saw that news break, like pretty much the next day after we recorded last week, I was seeing red. I'm very mad.
So I tweeted it out and I said, Broski talks about being some sort of belt collector, some sort of indie god, but he comes to the new town, sees a champion bigger than him, stronger than him, and a better merch mover than him.
Yep.
And and again, for a yellow streak to show up on as dark as a fake tan as Broski has, that's got to be a thick yellow streak, but it's popping out here. It's going so much up the back of his entire body, you could see it through the topics that he puts in the back of his bald spot. But that's fine. He wants to play it safe. He wants to come in and then... And listen, I know exactly what Broski's trying to do here. And again, I'm gonna channel my inner Taz. Not that Broski listens to this podcast, but I'm gonna blow up your fucking spot, Broski. And first of all, because he's a coward, it's Broski all lower letters now, no caps anymore. Fuck that shit. You don't deserve not even a first letter capitalized, right?
Yeah.
So what he's doing is he's coming into town on the first night as the baby face, so he can move all that merch. He's probably doing. Again, he's stealing everything from the boar. He's probably going to go on right before intermission, so he could go over and move all the meet and greets, milk as much money out of the town as he can, and then at the end of the night, when Boar is victorious, and listen, I'll tell you this, I don't know who the Boar is fighting that night, and it don't matter, because it's going to be a win. Don't matter if it's one person, 2 people, 10 people. Boar's beating them all, End of the night, Broski's going to come in, stick the shiv in the back to set up the challenge later on down the road after he's already milked the town out of the babyface money, and then he's going to come back in against a weakened, rundown, maybe a board that's had 3 matches in 1 month. God forbid, let's not go there. You know, what sort of champion wrestles 3 times in 1 month? That being said,
that's like
I know what Broski's up. I know what Broski's up to. He's going to see the boar. Again, it's one thing to see the boar on a poster, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to see the boar on a video. But when Broski gets there in person, he knows his goose is cooked. He knows he ain't going to wrestle the boar in no singles match because he ain't going to do it. They're going to set up a tag match. I know what Broski's up to. He's a scumbag. He's a scam artist. He's a chicken, and he's a coward.
I can't disagree with any of that.
What a piece of trash.
Yeah. It's just,
but a coward most importantly.
Yeah. It's just like you can be like, oh, I'm not afraid of Nick Gage. I'm not afraid of this guy. I'm not afraid of that guy. But the boar was the line he would not cross.
Uh-huh.
It's
it's nothing about in-ring stuff. It's nothing about in-ring stuff. It's all about size, and it's all about merch moving. The things that Broski actually cares about. What's he always say? The only things that you can control is what? Your look and your merch?
Something like that.
And Boar's got to beat on both, man.
Maybe the Boar should release a podcast that's like how to be an indie god, and then Broski can listen to that.
Yeah, that's what he should do. Yeah. No, Boar should release a podcast that's how to not to be a coward.
Yeah. How to come into a territory and challenge for a championship and not, some guy looks like a freaking Lego.
And listen, I don't know who the guy that Broski's fighting is. I got nothing against this guy, okay? Yeah. I know a lot of people are taking shots at his look, at his this and his that. He's probably a nice guy, right?
Oh, I'm sure he is, but his biggest problem is that he's not the Boar.
And again, that's a lot of people's biggest problem. Yeah. So thank you for letting me jump on there. I jumped on a lot of your stuff. Last thing I got, and again, I think we might need a Grease jingle. Just throwing that out there. I don't know if you saw the on Raw this past week, the Alpha Academy training vignettes with Maxine Dupree.
Oh yeah, I saw those.
Okay. Well, I like her gear choices.
Yeah. I'm just, again, I don't want her to be out for 9 months, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. All right. I mean, you're learning. But that's all I got for this week.
That's why Stacy Keibler has like 4 kids, just so you know.
Okay.
All right, Joe. Well, if that's all you have for this past week, did you know that there's some indie wrestling this weekend?
There is.
Sami Zayn's kicking down to the ring. It's Kofi Kingston doing his thing. Ruby
Soho
on the show.
Bryan Danielson.
No. Is it the big dog's yard? Let's find out. Does Joe know the card?
All right, Joe. We're going to start with the one that is closest time-wise, and that is tomorrow night's the LVAC Let's Hang Out. And according to Joe's handwritten notebook, there are 6 matches, none of which are on the pre-show. Joe, do you know the card for LVAC's Hangout? Let's hang out.
Okay, so it is my job to know the card. And yes. I will say, I feel as though they're playing a little fast and loose, announcing an extra match, in the 11th hour, 24 hours before the show, changing the main event. But I think I could do this, okay? Mm-hmm. We have the Boar and Erica Lee. Gummy Boar taking on Jakob Hammermeyer and Bojack.
All right, that's the main event, but go on.
We have, it's the main event. It's the match before intermission. Let's not go crazy.
Yeah, well, the main event in our hearts. Go on.
We have, I almost said his real name. We have Hot Sauce Tracy Williams taking on the debuting Anthony Green.
All right.
And I know the tweet said that this is the first time singles contest, but I got to double check that. I'm probably going to ask Hot Sauce when I see him tomorrow. I love Hot Sauce. He's one of my favorite dudes, period. He's just like the best. We also have Simon Sutherland's makeshift team of Kodama of the Batiri and Jeff Cannonball taking on Havoc and Lucky, who scored the pin in the main event of the last LVAC show, which is a big, huge deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Edith Surreal is taking on a newcomer, someone who has like absolutely no social media presence that I could find. Anastasia Morningstar.
Would appear that they have an Instagram.
I don't know, no Instagram. I'll have to get on that before the show. So they announced CPA making his triumphant return to the Valley, taking on another newcomer, someone who I know nothing about. Again, this match was literally announced like last night, Wednesday night. Junie Underwood is his name.
Yep.
And again, I don't know how I feel about booking one person named Junie, two I won't sit still for. Then we have the main event where we have the LVAC All-Stars, which is Big Dan, Cheeseburger, Clara Sierras, and Mantis taking on Sydney Bacabella's team. And I know they pulled Becca out, and I feel bad I don't remember the new girl's name. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't remember her name. Taking on Channing Thomas, Ryan Mooney, and Rex Lawless.
It's, I don't know if I pronounce this right, but it's Shannon Lavangi.
Okay. Right. So, Again, listen, my notes are a little incomplete. This is why I usually wait until, like, right before I leave the house to write them up, you know?
Yeah. But I'm surprised. Again, I was pumped to see the 6th match added. You know, I'm more of a fan. I know a lot of people complain, oh, this indie show's too long. You know, but I'm also of the mindset that I'm like, 5 is a little bit too little for my taste. I like a nice even 6.
I'm good with 5. I'm good with 6. Listen, it's not my show. You know, I just do the commentary there. I maybe would have like folded something in to make it a trios match, but that's just me. But it is what it is. I'll be there. I'm a company man. I love these shows. They're a lot of fun. I leave before the bands start playing, so you know, there are bands playing there. I guess the bands are big deals if you're into that sort of music, but I'm not.
Does Joe know the band?
Absolutely not.
All right. Well, maybe you know the band for this next show, but on Saturday, AIW will be hosting Over the Line. And for this show, Joe, according to all of AIW's social media and their new Facebook group, there are 8 announced matches plus 1 pre-show match. Do you know the card?
It's Sami Zayn's taking down to the ring. It's Kofi Kingston doing his thing. Ruby
Soho
on the show
with Bryan Danielson.
No. Is it the big dog's yard? Let's find out. Does Joe know the card?
If there's 2 shows, we're playing the jingle twice.
Okay.
Okay, so do I know this card? Maybe. Okay. Now, I will say, and again, I'm not going to say that I cheat, but obviously, usually within the last like couple of hours of us doing the show, I always end up listening to, just the way that the podcast schedule works. The card is subject to change, the AIW podcast, and I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet.
Well, their last episode, well, you might be, you know, you're like special, but their last published episode was over a week ago.
Adam, do you know how RSS feeds work?
I don't want to learn. Google Podcasts, the last episode was June 6th.
A new episode came out like this afternoon.
Well, it's not on Google, so it's not out.
Well, listen, you and Google are good. I don't know. Go fuck yourselves. I don't know. All right. So we have Money Shot defended the tag team titles versus JB and Wes.
Yep.
JB and Wes should win, but I don't think they're gonna. I think there's gonna be some sort of chicanery, right?
Okay.
Philly Collins is taking on Isaiah Bronner.
Yeah, Isaiah Bronner, who was on Indie Wrestling Guide this week and said unkind things about Long John Silver's.
I know. I was surprised to hear that. But I was glad to hear Isaiah roll with Ed's little bit. How about that?
Yeah.
PB Smooth taking on Shawn Mason.
Yep.
I'm just trying to remember the match graphics, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I know they just announced today Dominic Garrini is taking on Logan Easton LaRoe.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was making my notes for this last night, and I was like, well, they announced Dom and they announced Logan. They're on the posters individually.
Yeah.
But they haven't announced a match for either one of them, so I just tentatively wrote down Dom versus Logan, and it ended up being right.
There you go. Trying to think. Who's the kid who does the AV stuff now? I feel so bad.
Chase Oliver.
Chase Oliver. I feel so bad. I don't remember a lot of the new kids' names. Chase Oliver is taking on Lewis Linden.
Yep.
Jocelyn has a match against someone.
I believe a debuting Kayla Cassidy.
Okay. Kaplan is in a 4-way where it's him, Marino, Holloway, and someone else.
This is your bias against the latest crop of graduates, but yep, Vic Weiss.
Okay. How many is that?
You still have one. You have one main show match remaining, and then the pre-show.
Okay. And again, listen, I don't do pre-shows, but I'm pretty sure that the pre-show is that Bear Shark kid doing an open challenge or something.
Yep, Tyson Riggs open challenge.
Okay. Now, I mentioned before, okay, when we were talking about that Chikara show from 15 years ago, when Mike found out that it was the last time that they were able to run in the Hellertown building, they switched the finish and had Fire Ant win the Young Lions Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the status of this bowling venue is, but listen, if you're going to do a venue like this, you want to have a title match in your main event. You want to make that main event mean something, you do a title switch in that main event, even if you're hot-shotting it, right? Because don't AIW have another show next weekend or something?
Yep, very next week, next Friday.
So even if you hot-shot it, right? If you're going to put the belts on Rip City, you have that be the main event. But you ain't going to put the belt on Rip City, you have the main event be Duke defending the Haas boot against friend of the show, possible co-host of this show, Arthur MacArthur.
Hell yeah, the main event of the evening. I don't care where they end up putting it. If they try to hold the match back by putting it earlier in the card, I don't care. We're stealing the show. We're bringing that Haas boot back to my Detolfs. It's Detolf worthy, Joe. I'm going to keep that thing in a nice spot up on the top next to the boar mask.
I do recall the original Haas trophy was just like a little bullshit, like it must have been like 6 inches big. It was like a little like trophy that you can get like from a trophy store, like leftovers of a boot, you know?
Yeah.
And I will give the Duke credit that he really classed up the boot, you know?
Yeah.
When he won it. And I'll just say I think Artie will add a lot more class to it when he wins it this Saturday night.
Yeah, and I mean, Duke's had a good run. You know, He's defending that title all over the country, all over the world even. And, you know, just anybody who wants a shot at him, he's been putting it up for granted. And he's defended it successfully every single time. But I think he's finally run into, you know, somebody more of a Haas than he is, you know, and that's Arthur MacArthur. So I wish the Duke best of luck in his attempts to regain the title or whatever his future may hold for him. But clearly, this is Artie's time, and you know, maybe Artie defends it against Chuck. I don't know.
Oh boy, let's hope not.
Yeah,
there are lots of. Well, so here's where we run into a problem: is of course, if Artie wins the boot, then that's going to run into his tag team with Chuck, as you mentioned. He's going to have to like make his decision. Am I a singles wrestler champion, or am I going to try to regain the tag titles with Chuck? But then now Artie's a marked man. He'll have the rematch with Duke, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to have people like Kaplan people like Holloway. Again, not taking anything away from Artie, but those are some big motherfuckers.
Well, that's why I think that he needs to stay on good terms with Chuck Stone. You know, make sure he has some backup.
He wins it. He wins it, and he turns it into a Haas tag team boot.
Hey,
and
boots come in pairs.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that. All right. See, a lot of ways we can go with that.
Right. I'll go talk to the brass and let them know.
Yeah.
Talking about people who don't listen to my dumb ideas.
Yeah, it just writes itself. It's like you have Artie backstage celebrating with the boot, and then all of a sudden Chuck's like, look what I found, the other one. And now you got tag team boots.
They steal it out of, They steal it out of Duke's bag or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, but now it should be a fun show, and I'm looking forward to bringing home the Haas boot, you know?
All right. So we have homework that'll be over on the Patreon.
That's correct. You assigned me from January 25th, 2000, WCW Thunder.
Right. And you can go read the recap by our friend Kevin over at his website, masklibrary.com. Obviously, if you're signed up for the Patreon, you're going to get that show later on tonight, tomorrow, whenever these shows come out, you know?
Yeah, sometime after midnight-ish.
And even though there is 2 indie shows this weekend, there is no pay-per-view this weekend, so, Adam, you're assigning something, right?
Yeah, I guess. We need to update the bylaws that 2 indie shows count as 1 pay-per-view going forward. But until we amend it, your homework for next week, Joe, I'm going to give you a break. We're gonna press pause on the film overview of Mike the Miz Mizanin, and we're going to go back in time. We're going to watch something that is streaming for free on Tubi.
Oh, good.
We're going to watch 1986's Body Slam. It is a movie that I probably haven't seen since 1987, but as soon as I started doing this list, when we founded the Patreon, it was one of the first things I wrote down in there. Starring Dirk Benedict, who was the face of the A-Team.
The face? Oh, that's the face. He was face. Yep. Adam, could I just go get the episode of Longbox Heroes After Dark from 5.5 years ago where Todd and I reviewed this?
Nope, that doesn't count. I haven't seen it in 30 years or so, 30 plus years, so fresh viewing, fresh review.
So just for those folks that are looking for that sort of thing, After Dark episode 170, Todd and I watched Body Slam.
Yeah, and that was 5 years ago. That was pre-At Odds. That was a different world.
That's true. I even just having seen this 5 years ago, I remember so much about this movie because it was on HBO all the time.
Mm-hmm. So I thought I learned a lot of things about wrestling from watching that movie, and I was very shocked to learn that they lied to me in that movie, but we'll talk about it next week.
But this is a fantastic movie. Even though I could be doing a million other things and spending my time doing anything else, I'm looking forward to watching Body Slam again.
Well, you're welcome. After that, we go back to the Miz movies. or we won't. I don't know. I'm very up and down with this stuff. I've got a long list.
It's your gimmick. It's your thing, you know?
I know. And some people have reached out to me with some suggestions after last week's call to arms, so thank you. But yeah.
All bad ideas, I'm sure.
Somebody even gave me that WWE produced pay-per-view of Girls Gone Wild.
It's your igniter. Well, I'll get that.
Oh, hang on. I'm trying to get the link for it to put in the show notes, and it keeps playing the fucking ads. Fucking ads. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I said somebody sent me the WWE produced Girls Gone Wild pay-per-view.
Okay.
So that's on the back burner too, but I remember that being maybe slightly cancelable in 2023, but we'll see. Well, I might have to watch it a couple times to see if we're allowed to do it on Patreon.
Well, I say this, Adam. One, only one way to find out, and two, you're uncancelable, aren't you?
This is true, but I'm looking out for you, Joe. You're gonna.
Oh, thank you.
You have a reputation to uphold.
I guess. I don't know.
But yes, next week Body Slam, tonight WCW Thunder.
Again, because it's available on Tubi, I recommend this movie. If you're a fan of 80s wrestling, you will absolutely enjoy this. And I'm surprised you're not only picking a movie that took place before 1990, it's a movie about wrestling that takes place before 1990.
I know this is a gray area because wrestling started in 1990. Everybody knows that. But movies started in 1986 when Transformers the movie came out.
Gotcha.
That's where it cuts off.
I will give folks a heads up. Again, obviously, I recall this from watching it whenever it was. There are lots of slurs in this movie. Lots of F slurs in this movie.
Okay.
Just as a trigger warning. Again, this was a PG movie in 1986, 1987. It was a very different time. Just be prepared for that sort of language to be used liberally throughout this film.
Such upstanding individuals on this cast that I'm seeing here. I'm surprised any one of them would agree to say those words into a microphone.
Oh, well, listen. If you've never seen this other than Dirk Benedict, and is it Tanya Roberts is the female lead?
Yep.
All right. See, again, I'm very, very familiar with this film.
Like I said, I saw it on television probably 87, 88, and that was the last time I saw it. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. I'm looking forward to it as well, but I'm also looking forward to the voicemail. Let's get in some voicemail, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, guys, it's Ben Pasco. I mean, with so much going on in wrestling, a collision, CM Punk's afraid Hangman's going to shoot on him.
Right.
I'm sure another person on Adam's grief list is pregnant by now. So the question I want to ask you guys is, if you were going on supermarket sweep, what is your strategy to win the sweep? And there is a correct answer.
Ooh, that's might be my favorite question in a long time. What's expensive in a grocery store? Baby formula?
Okay. So this is okay. So I follow Ben on social media. Thank you for the call, Ben. And he was tweeting the other day about how he's very hyper focused on this right now.
Okay.
Which is more than likely why he called in with this. So are we going by classic supermarket sweep rules or groceries as of today? Right?
Yeah. Because I mean, if you're doing today, just go to the pharmaceutical aisle and just take vitamins and shit like that.
Yeah. So your thought process is baby stuff, as you mentioned, diapers and formula and that sort of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But while that's high ticket items, that's taking up a lot of space in your grocery cart. And you got to make several trips to get that stuff back,
Mm-hmm.
You got to go high price, high cost, and low space in your grocery cart, right?
Yeah.
So, obviously you're thinking back to 1980s, 80s time when the show was on, the meat. And if I remember correctly, they would put a limit on you that you could only get 5 of any one item, right?
Yeah, so you just didn't go right to the most expensive thing and fill the cart up with it.
Right. So, obviously if we're going by today's logic, I think we're with you, where you just go and get any sort of medications, aspirins, makeup, stuff like that from today's grocery store.
Yeah, go to where they have the razors that are $40 that are on the lockable pegs.
Right, and that's the other thing is that stuff unlocked when you're going to do the thing? Oh, it's not as easy as a question as one would think. It's a very deep question, but
yeah, I think you go to the vitamins section, those are right on the shelf, and a small bottle of vitamins is at least $20.
Right, and even if you're only allowed to get 5 of any one thing, there's lots of vitamins there. There's lots of aspirins, ibuprofens, whatever, right? You just grab 5 of everything, whether you need them or not, you're looking to win, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I hear condoms are expensive.
I
just grab a bunch of those.
Okay. Take your word for it.
But there's different varieties of that, and those are expensive. And I don't know where I was going with this. I was going to make a joke, but now I chickened out of it. So.
But anything in that like health aisle,
yeah,
the beauty and health section, you know?
Yeah, don't even leave that section.
Yeah.
Or go to like the magazine section, because every magazine's like $10 a piece.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, just food is the wrong choice.
Yes.
It's all some type of health and beauty item or something that is a dinosaur that's overpriced like a magazine. All right.
No, but food is a no-go. Steaks are a no-go. Baby stuff is a no-go. Again, vitamins, beauty supplies, razors, that sort of thing.
No, yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Thank you for your call, Ben. Next call.
Hello, gentlemen. Kevin here. I'm going to ask a question as a segue between the question part of the main show and the Patreon discussion of WCW Thunder. They'll be coming later on tonight. So on that episode of Thunder, there was a thing taking place at the WCW Nitro Grill, which was in Vegas. I never went to that one. I never got a chance to go to WWE New York. And the era of the themed restaurant seems very much over. But if it wasn't over, if there was an AEW themed restaurant, what would be a signature wrestling themed dish that would be served at the AEW restaurant? I'm assuming it would have to be in Vegas. So that's a ridiculous question for this week, guys. Have fun at LVAC. Wish I was there. I'll try to make it sometime in the future. Bye.
I'm going to save a lot of this story for the Patreon, but no, I'm going to say watching WCW Thunder and the mention and them showing the Nitro Grill caused me to go down the rabbit hole that I've been threatening for a while of searching for Nitro Grill items on eBay. And I got a couple on my watch list, Joe, and we'll talk about it on the Patreon. Some high-ticket Nitro Grill items that I'm looking at maybe adding to the collection, but we'll talk about that later. There has to be some type of, like, Orange Cassidy, like, orange sorbet, like, dessert, right?
I would go with an Orange Cassidy orange chicken.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Something, like, he's just a slam dunk that there would be something there, you know?
Right.
Like, there'd be, like, a hangman steak, you know? Like, some type of, like...
okay. I got two.
Go for it.
You got... because obviously it's a Nitro or it's an AEW grill. It's a bar and grill, so there's going to be a bar. They're going to be serving alcohol. There's going to be a Jericho drink. That's just literally every alcohol that there is. I think sometimes they'll call it like the barkeeper's rag or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, and it's it's in one of those giant like Ocean City glasses that you get. That's like it's like 5 feet tall and has a long straw.
Right, and it looks like it's salt around the rim, but because it's the Jericho drink, brother, that ain't salt. And there would be a themed thing, and again, the name of it, again, it's less about the name and like the thematicness of it. There would be some sort of like bone-in chicken wing thing that's CM Punk themed, where the bones inside the wings are so brittle they break immediately when you touch them.
It's like the meat just falls right off the bone.
Yes, yes.
With little effort.
Meat and muscle off the bone, CM Punk wings. CM Punk's best in the world wings. They're only available 3 months a year or whatever.
It's like the McRib, but rare.
But thank you for your call, Kevin, and we'll get. I guess there's more Nitro Grill discussion to be had on the Patreon show, and I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Next call.
Hello, Adam. Hello, Joe. It's the strongest man in all the land, Arthur MacArthur here. Don't really call in as much as I should. I need to make that more of a thing. Anywho, 2 things. First and foremost, I have to plug our show this Saturday in Youngstown, Ohio, Over the Line. It is a special guest, Carlito and Raven. It's going to be a great time. If you're in the area, come check us out. Get those tickets now or watch us live on Fight TV. Now, I have a big match with the one, the only, the Duke, this Saturday in Youngstown for the Hoss Division Golden Boot. And to tell you the truth, I'm feeling confident. You know, I have gained a few pounds here and there. I'm feeling like a rightful Hoss. If you go back in the archives of the podcast of the card is going to change, I remember the Duke saying that I think I'm a Hoss. This was a dated one back when I had first started. I was a lot skinnier then. I've definitely put on some mass, you know, cultivated mass, as you will. And I'm feeling confident. You know, I definitely needed this one after getting eliminated in like half a second at the gauntlet. So, Mr. Duke, congratulations on crossing 2,000 days. You ain't making it to 3. Is Artie Max bringing that boot back to the MacArthur residence. But speaking of boots in titles, in the spirit of that, what are some of your favorite championships that weren't title belts? You know, we see too many, you know, championships being represented with title belts these days. That's boring. I want something new. I've heard of a promotion out in New York or New Jersey or wherever where PME were champions and they had golden jackets. Now that I love. We need more clothes as our title belts, quote unquote. You know, we have this boot here. We have those jackets over there. Name me some of yours. And if you can't, what should be a title? And don't say trophies. That's also boring. That's all I got for now. Y'all have a great weekend. And Adam, we'll discuss who gets the boot on either weekend and whatnot. We're going to have to figure this one out. Take care, guys.
I can't wait to discuss boot visitation rights, you know? Yeah, I mean, the trophy would have been the slam dunk. What about, like, crowns? Like, didn't they used to defend the King of the Ring, or am I just making that up?
They used to defend the King of the Ring, yes.
Yeah, so, like, that's when you had, like, Haku and Macho King and Hacksaw Jim Duggan as champion, because it's like, okay, you not only win the crown as a championship, but you also get to have the gimmick change with it.
If you so choose, you know, but yes.
If you want to, yeah.
I'm with like getting a title, like not like a belt, but like you're now a king, and then you have like the crown and the whatever it is, and then if someone defeats you for it, they kind of mold it to look and feel like part of them, and yeah, I like that. I like medals, like a medal that you would wear around your neck.
Okay.
Old UWF TV title was a medal that you would wear around your neck. And, you know, obviously there was a time when Kurt Angle would, like, come out with his gold medals, and there'd be matches where his gold medal, like, possession of the gold medals would be on the line. But I think a medal would be something interesting, you know, to represent a championship. And already mentioned whatever promotion it is where PME were the champions, where as the tag team champions, they got jackets. Late 04, early 2005, in IWA Mid-South, which is, you know, listen, it is a very influential fad. A lot of people came from that promotion, went through that promotion, cut their teeth in that promotion. But there was a period of time where they were tag team champions in name alone. There were no belts. And when Eddie Kingston and Blackjack Marciano won the quote-unquote tag team titles, for a period of time, the titles were represented by sweatshirts. They just wore red sweatshirts down to the ring, and those were recognized as the IWA Mid-South tag team titles.
What about, you know, late or mid to late 90s WWF, when it seemed like every single tag team champion was managed by Sonny? Now, I get Sonny was not the championship in and of itself, but it seemed like she followed the belts.
Right.
How about like some type of manager or valet that immediately is associated with the champion?
I think at that point, especially today, that's towing the line at human trafficking. That you're gaining with these titles, you're also gaining possession of this person.
You're gaining the services.
Listen, you're You're making my point for me, but okay.
No. These people are fully employed and insured. They've got a great health package, 401k, dental. They're hired by the promotion. They can leave at any time, but they are basically, if you win the championship, they then are to work in service. Nothing illicit, but you need somebody to cheat for you, or you need somebody to cut a promo or run and get you coffee, whatever. Nothing illicit. Come on.
I'm gonna have to say no to that one, dog. I'm sorry.
All right. It's the last time I give you the pencil.
That's right. All right, next call.
Hey there, Adam, Joe. It is the other JP here, just calling in. So, this week, it definitely reminded me that my shoot brother does he has that Hulk hairstyle. So, and I just saw it with watching the playback, seeing me and Hook, our little chat backstage about how I'm going to go go up against Sonata, but no biggie there. But I just realized that I need to drop a picture of me and my brother and look and see how closely the two of us resemble Jungle Hook, of course, already. So when it comes to a wrestler for match recommendations, I'm not sure if it's going to be easy on y'all or if it's going to be hard on y'all, because it'll be hard to choose just a small handful. But I'm going to let y'all splurge and give me some Terry Tuesday homework. Terry Funk. Obviously, I've seen the match between him and Cactus Jack. That iconic one. So yeah, if there's any more, let me know. I believe I've watched parts of. I haven't watched the full feud between him and Flair after coming back from being at whatever Starrcade that was. 85? I don't know.
No.
I don't know the dates. Y'all are supposed to. Alrighty, let me know.
All right, I just got to say right off the rip. First of all, it's bad enough that the other GB has to call in every single week and rub in our face like, oh, I'm so good looking, I've got great hair, I'm chiseled, I'm a really good athlete. But now he's like, oh, by the way, my brother looks like Hook and we're both beautiful. Stop rubbing it in my face, all right? Second of all, I recommend The Demon versus Terry Funk from the January 25th, 2000 episode of Thunder.
So, obviously, this is more of a question for DJ over on We Need Wrestling, right?
Yeah.
He is the capital T Terry Funk fan, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a piker compared to DJ. But I will say this. JB's on the right track with the Ric Flair feud 1989. From the pay-per-view where Funk does the turn, comes out of retirement, and it's, people talk about the summer of Punk, Hop Tui. It's the summer of Funk is where the money's at, right? Mm-hmm. So you just look up Terry Funk 1989 and watch any of those matches. Watch all of those matches. The match that happens at the Clash of Champions October-ish, New York Knockout, it's an I Quit match, which unofficially becomes also a retirement match, is one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time. There's a match at another pay-per-view that I just saw gift the other day where it's Ricky Steamboat versus Terry Funk, and that's amazing. I know you're going to be shocked by all of these statements, but don't sleep on Terry Funk's WWF run from 85 into 86. It falls apart a little bit once it turns into a tag team with him and Dory, a.k.a. Haas Funk. But Terry Funk has 2 or 3 really good televised, whether it be Madison Square Garden or Sunday Night Main Event matches with Hogan, where even he gets a count-out victory over Hogan. And those are all really good. So 1985-86 Terry Funk in WWF, 1989 Terry Funk. the whole program. Like, he's got a match with Sting in there. He's got a match with Steamboat in there. He's got a variety of tag matches against Flair and other opponents in that 89 run. But DJ will give you a plethora of Japanese matches for you to check out. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take long either.
The show. Yeah, thanks for the call, JB. The show will go up a little bit late, obviously, and then DJ will listen to it sometime Friday afternoon, and then by like Friday night, you'll have like a laundry list of them. So,
yeah.
All right, it is pink button time. Ed has called 3 times, so batten down the hatches.
Yep.
Hey, Joe and Adam, it's Ed. Hopefully you can hear me. 'Cause I'm calling at work. I wanted to call right now before I forget, because I just started listening to the show. So I follow football in the sense that I have a favorite team because I grew up watching a lot of football. But I haven't watched a Super Bowl in like 3 years. Like, when's the last time Tom Brady was in it? That's the last time I watched. I really like Tom Brady. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you put a gun to my head right now, I don't think I could name 10 players. But Joe sounds really gung-ho about it, so I'm down. Let's fucking do this.
Yeah!
Let's win some money. Okay, bye.
The soon-to-be-named Network Fantasy Football League is not going to be a bit. It is a serious money league consisting of serious professional gambling football fans. So,
like me and Ed.
No, it's all right. You guys can start a rival promotion. You can start the XFL of fantasy football leagues.
Ed, we're going to be on that. Me and you are going to be XFL, and we're not going to let anyone else in. All right, next call.
Hey, Joe and Adam, it's Ed. Let's talk Max Landis.
Oh, God.
Because it's fun to do. So, Joe, I know you seen it, maybe Adam might have, the trailer for the newest part of the Kryptonian Epic, Max Landis' YouTube series. And are people just not finding out this is a thing? Because I've watched a lot of these. They're awful. I love it. They're so bad. Max Landis is a terrible actor. I love him. He's so bad. But here's my question. Do you think that he knows they're bad? And he's just like, fuck it, this is my medium to tell a story, and this is what I want to do. Or does he think he's making good shit? Because, like, I can tell you, I've watched hours of this. And it's not any good. I love it. I wish he wasn't canceled because I wish more people could see this. It's so fucking good. That weirdos line was like, you're one of the weirdos. Oh my God, Joe, it's so fucking good. But I don't want to call it and just talk about awful things. Thing 2, just real quick, and it happened today, and I was like, I should let Joe know about this. I listened to Eric's Midget Calls, and the day after Chris Benoit, all that stuff happens on that Monday, he gets really mad at Howard Stern because Howard Stern said Chris Benoit killed his family, and Eric said that you don't know that because WWE is filled with a lot of cool wrestlers and divas, and that maybe his wife did it. And then he said he's not going to call him the show anymore. Okay, bye.
So Eric, the actor, Ed, how dare you, was maybe an original Chris Benoit truther that there was foul play involved, not involving him. Again, he really loved World Wrestling Entertainment. And I'll just say this to you. Obviously, social media did exist when the Chris Benoit thing happened, but it was in its infancy. Imagine social media today and the Benoit tragedy happening. Like, it would be the wildest thing. It would be just like Elon Musk would shutter Twitter. He'd be like, it's gone too far. You people are out of control. I'm taking the loss on this one, and I'm just closing Twitter. You're all gone, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would have your segment of the fan base that would just refuse to acknowledge that Benoit's dead. Then there would be the people that would say that, like, clearly Benoit didn't do it, and the people that would use it as a stance to shut down WWE, like the AEW fans that are like, oh, look, can you believe this is happening there? It would be pretty interesting. The people that would celebrate it happening,
Now, the other thing that he mentioned in regards to Max Landis, Adam, how familiar with Max Landis are you?
I know that, I know who he is. I know he's canceled. I know he did that stupid little thing where he sits in a chair and explains the reign of Superman while he drinks alcohol.
Yes.
That he got kind of famous for briefly. But beyond that, I know he did an intro for the Stink Sheet, and I refuse to watch whatever that video that Ed insisted I watch.
Right. You made the right call. Did you ever see the thing that he did called Wrestling Isn't Wrestling?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Okay. I might no, because then I'd have to watch it again. See, this is where you get this thing. It's like, I'm gonna make Joe watch this horrible thing, and then I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm excited to watch it, and then you're like, oh shit, and I gotta watch it too,
Mm-hmm.
But he did this thing about and it was like this long, drawn out thing. It's like 40 fucking minutes long. And he got Triple H and Stephanie to retweet it. And this was a time where he was not writing for the WWE, but he was definitely advising for their storylines during one of their down shitty periods. And the video is essentially about how Triple H is the greatest character in WWE history, and here's why. That's essentially what the Wrestling is Wrestling video is, right? It was him sucking up to Triple H. At any point in your life, if you say Triple H is or was your favorite wrestler, then you suck and you don't know what wrestling is, period. I'm sorry that you had to find out this way. It's the truth. But I think what Max Landis is doing currently and has ever done, he thinks is the best thing that's ever been done. Because I think he was raised like he is, and this is going to be the first time that I ever say these words, and it'll be the last time that I ever say them, that he is the perennial Nepo baby, where his entire life he was told that every creative thing that he did was good, and his dad was actually a very creative person outside of, killing 3 people on the set of a movie. But again, he did American
mistakes.
You're right. He did American Werewolf in London. So, listen, I don't know those people. I know American Werewolf in London, right? So his dad, who was a very famous and very successful, person in the movies, told Max Landis at a very young age that the stuff that he was doing was great. So he's like, oh, well, if my dad, who obviously knows great things, says my stuff is great, then it very clearly is great, right? And the fact that he's ultra super mega canceled and he'll never be involved in actual Hollywood, it's like, well, this is the best I could do with, being canceled and not having a budget or not having real actors or anything else like that. But imagine, with these restrictors on me, I'm putting out A++ material. Imagine if I had an actual budget and a studio behind me. Oh, it'd be A quadruple plus material, right? Because that's the sort of sick individual that he is. And he's also an abuser and a piece of shit. And let's never speak of him again. He's on the list. He's on the list of people now, Ed, when you're like, oh, I like this one. It's like, what about Kanye? What about Russell Brand? What about David Starr? What about Max Landis? And I'd say in about 2.5 months, we're going to put Phil back on that list.
Max Landis definitely sounds like somebody who his dad should have taken his drawing from kindergarten. Like when he handed it to him, instead of putting it on the fridge, it should have been crumpled up in his face and thrown out. And that would have maybe humbled him some.
Why couldn't have John Landis been more of an absentee father?
Yeah.
All right. Ed, last call.
Hey, Joe and Adam, I'm like half asleep, and I found a YouTube channel that puts up ECW fan cams, and I was like, oh shit, is that Tiger Mask in the thumbnail? And it is. It's Tiger Mask versus Great Sasuke, and the day after Christmas of '97, and they're in Queens, and everybody seemed real hype during introductions, and then within, I don't know, 3 minutes, they're chanting, bullshit at Tiger Mask because he's doing an armbar, and then they all just start chanting Hiroshima. So like, is the Queens crowd thing that they're all like fucking stupid and racist? Is that what the Queens crowd deal was? Because like, I know you said there's a difference between like the Philly crowd and the Queens crowd, and I just wonder if that's the Queens crowd's deal, is that they're all just the goddamn stupidest people in the world. So yeah, give me a little info on that, 'cause they seem really fucking stupid. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
So, I can say, so I don't want to say, Ed, just the Queens crowd are stupid, ignorant racists. I could say the Philly crowd was also stupid, ignorant racists. I could say that the Jim Thorpe crowd was also stupid, ignorant racists. Multiple people at the Jim Thorpe shows in 1995 would wear a shirt that said "The Real Boys in the Hood" and have a picture of the Ku Klux Klan on it at the shows. There was a Philly show, and it never made TV. It was because it was the infamous fire chair incident show, where there was a Too Cold Scorpio versus Rocco Rock singles match that was delayed because the crowd chanted every black wrestler in the history of wrestling at Too Cold Scorpio in a negative connotation. So I just think wrestling fans in the 90s in general were racist. If you look at some of the crowds as you get deeper into the Attitude Era, and I just think the world was more racist from like 1994 to like sadly now. But I think ECW shows had like a more concentrated grouping of them. When you get that many attention deficit criminals together, you're going to get them chanting. I'm sure they chanted like anti-Semitic stuff at people. I'm sure they chanted like all sorts of slurs for Italian people at like poor full-blooded Italians like Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich, I know they chanted when the full-blooded Italian gimmick first started, and it was JT Smith was pretending to be Italian. They would chant all sorts of, racist Italian things at him, right? And then racist black things at him. So it was like a twofer, right? I just think that's what ECW crowds were like. I'd like to think that I never did those things. I probably laughed at them, which is just as bad. But yeah, they're all horrible people. That's all.
Yeah. Slightly off topic, Ed, congratulations that you'll soon be going to see Twice in concerts in Chicago. I just want to say I've seen a lot of the videos and pictures you've put up on social media, and they might have caught my attention. So if you don't want something, unfortunate to happen, send me some money to my PayPal. If you don't, you know what'll happen. That's all I'm saying.
And hey, lastly, obviously before we get to the plugs and weekly purchases and all that sort of jazz, things were busy. We didn't get a chance to watch Dark Side of the Ring yet. And I'll be honest with you, because it was the Graham family and I know how depressing all of that ends up being. I wasn't in a real hurry to watch it, but we'll double up maybe next week with that and Matt Bourne, Doink the Clown stuff.
Yeah, probably. We'll be down for a solid probably.
Okay. I do have the Graham family deal here in the hopper to watch, but we'll maybe throw that in next week,
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, we mentioned Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium before. Promo code AddOdds for a new subscriber. Lets Jerry know that you came to him from us. TeePublic Store, the sale is next week for 35% off everything. Our eBay affiliate link, of course, is on the page, whether in the show notes for when you're getting the episode or over at addoddswrestling.com. When you click on links to various merchants on the site, and make a purchase. This can result in the site earning a commission. Affiliate programs and affiliations include, but are not limited to, the eBay Partner Network.
Yeah. I guess I'll talk about the Patreon or the podcasts that you should listen to, and those podcasts are, as I scroll down, Longbox Heroes After Dark, Final Wrestling Place, We Need Wrestling, Porch Talk, Viewer's Choice, Indie Wrestling Guide, Wings on Wings, and Hayabusa, a wrestling adjacent podcast.
Adjacent.
What'd I say?
I said, and again, it's not a wrestling podcast, it's wrestling adjacent, yes.
Yes.
So let's get to Adam's favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
Some might cost a little. Some might cost a lot. But I'm the $100 Vansky. And your figures will be bought.
Joe, I had a reasonably big week. Not a large dollar amount, but I bought a lot of little things. And how about you? Did you buy anything?
Yeah, I bought a bunch of little things too.
All right. Well, I'll just say a couple weeks ago I had bought or I had pre-ordered from Big Bad Toy Store. They had an exclusive McFarlane The Flash figure that was like limited to 3,000 pieces because it was kind of like monotone colors, but they basically did the same thing with Superman, also limited to 1 of the 3,000. So I ordered that, and they're actually both shipping this week because I guess they're part of like the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. You know, like a lot of retailers will not actually sell something at a con, but they'll put it for sale and say that it was a San Diego thing. But yeah, so I ordered a Superman McFarlane figure.
Okay.
What's something you got?
So my Blu-ray player finally came in.
Yay.
And I was able to pull out all the extra cords and stuff. Got the old VCR DVD combo out, which was literally the size of like... It's just so ridiculous the fact that I still had this thing. I was using it as a DVD player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Blu-ray player that I got was, listen, it was on the cheaper side. I'm just not looking for anything crazy just yet because I don't have the upgrade on the TV yet. But now in the living room, we have no less than 4 different things that HDMI in, and we only have 2 HDMI ports on my TV. So I had to get one of those HDMI splitter deals.
Okay. I heard a nasty rumor that Todd was willing to give you one, but you flat out refused.
Yep, I told him to go fuck himself. I don't want your hand-me-downs.
I've mentioned before on the pod a bunch of times that BioShock Infinite is one of my favorite video games. It's something that I play at least maybe like every other year all the way through, like the storyline for it. And back when that game first came out in like 2007 or whatever, NECA had figures for the game, and they basically did like 2 of the bad guys. They did the protagonist, and they did a character called Elizabeth. And for the longest time, I had the Elizabeth figure on my eBay watch list, and I finally got one at like a really good price because for whatever reason, I don't know if they just didn't make a lot of them or whatever. NECA figures don't generally go up a lot unless there's some kind of like con exclusive, but this one was like hard to get at a reasonable price. But I got one really cheap in my eyes, again, BioShock Infinite Elizabeth. And then as soon as it arrived, I was like, oh, I can finally delete this off of my watch list or my saved search list. And then I was like, well, do I want the other guy? Like, do I want the other main character? And I was like, oh, shit, here we go again. So I have to search for another figure. I thought I was out on buying BioShock Infinite figures, but I got another one to look for.
Do you have a shelf for these ones, or what are you doing with them?
No, they're just going to go in the toy room somewhere. There is a NECA Ultimate shelf of where I have like the Back to the Future NECA figures, and I think I have like an Uncharted figure and a Casey Jones and stuff like that. The things that are in the NECA style boxes. But because this is an older NECA figure, it's still in the clear plastic, like the full clear plastic, like a clamshell back when they didn't give a shit about plastic in the packages. So it's just somewhere in the toy room.
We're coming back around. We're coming back around to it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, but you remember, like, this is, if you remember, like, the early Marvel Legends, where there wasn't even a cardboard back to the box. It was just plastic on all four sides. That's what these NECAs were like.
Gotcha. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I'm never opening it, so they actually hold up better. You don't have to worry about the boxes getting dinged.
Yeah, that's true.
What else did you get, Joe?
So, a couple weeks ago, mentioned on the show, started filling in the gaps, for the Patreon show for Longbox Heroes. We're doing Previewing the Past. 30 years ago, that previews catalog, it was an idea that came up, mid 2019, and we've been doing it since. I purchased a bunch of like 90, 91, 92, 93 kind of piecemealing things together. And then I was told that we had all of 94 and 95 from an anonymous donor. And then as we're getting closer to 94, Todd went through and he saw one was missing. July of 1994, July of 1994. So I had to pick that up. There was a guy who was selling it. Of course, make offer. I don't make an offer, but I watch it. I get the offer from him, which is lower than what I was going to make offer at anyway. So I picked that up. So now we have up to the middle of 1996 to do Previewing the Past. So we're good for another 3.5 years. 2.5 years.
2.5 years, yeah. All right, cool. And by that point, the podcast episodes on Patreon will be about 6 hours long.
Possibly.
Yeah. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I bought some old WWE Topps UK Major Brothers cards. Remember,
yes.
I sent you the picture, and it was like, oh, look how like they were babies. They had long hair. So there's a lot of old Broski and Hawkins cards that I was looking for that just don't pop up that often because they're all some type of weird international exclusive. So I'm going to send you a text message. I got a card on eBay, and it was dirt cheap, but it was one of them that I was missing. It is another 2008 UK Hawkins and Ryder card. This is when they were the Edgeheads. And I broke the bank at paying like less than $3 shipped on it. But I got that, and it completes, like, because I had gotten the individual version of that card. Because if you remember, there was a Hawkins card and there was a Broski card. This is like the two of them together. And I had mentioned that I still needed that when I announced them a couple weeks ago.
For something called Slam Attacks?
Yeah, it was like a playable card game type thing, like a Pokemon.
Oh.
But it was, I guess, only released in Europe. They didn't do a US version. So I bought that card, and obviously it was relatively cheap. And I was like, all right, there's so many of these weird exclusives that I'm getting confused what I have, what I need. So I made like a master list of what, again, I'm talking pre-haircut stuff. So it has to be like old stuff. And I realized, okay, I'm missing this, this, and this, and this. And I made a list. And there was actually a bunch of them already on eBay. So I just did one swoop and knocked off like 80% of what I needed. And I'm sending you the picture. One of the cards is actually one that, if you look at the list, I won't mention it, but it's the second one down. I already had that, but I was like, I'll grab another one. But the one at the very bottom is actually the most interesting. And Myers talked about this on the pod probably like 6 months ago because somebody sent it to him, and he was like, holy shit, I didn't know this existed. And it was a 2009 Slam Attacks mini card that was given away free with Sabrita's chips or nachos or tortillas or whatever it was in Mexico. So like the only way you can get that card was to randomly open a bag of chips and hope that you got it in there. So it's like a weird ass exclusive. But that was like along with 4 other cards that I bought from that era. So I only need 3 more cards to have everyone I'm looking for. But unfortunately, the 3 I need, I haven't seen on eBay yet.
Has Brian ever mentioned them on the show? Obviously, that's casting a very wide net, you know?
It's hard to... He might have, but in like the 4+ years, I don't remember every card. I just remember the chip story because of it being like, how weird is that he has a random card that was exclusive to Mexico like that?
Yeah.
I'm sure they have all of their cards, you know, but it's just a matter of tracking them down. And unfortunately, the Myers ones are easier to find than the Broski ones, you know, but like I said, I got most of what I need. I literally just need another European exclusive Broski, and there's, I think, one other card with the 2 of them on it, and I'll have every one of them that's like pre-woo-woo-woo.
Well, good luck. Hopefully you can get the 3 that you're missing. I always say, you know, check your Facebook marketplaces, check Mercari's, like the oddball places outside of eBay, you know?
Yeah. Well, now that I have my save search, like I know what I am missing, because before I was just setting up like a wide net of like 2008 Meyer or 2008 Hawkins, 2008 Ryder or whatever, or the Major Brothers. So it was a wide net that was catching a bunch of junk. But now that I know specifically the 3 cards I need, I've like deleted all my old save searches around the topic, and I put out new ones that are more specific. You know?
Gotcha.
Did you buy anything else, Joe?
I did. Adam, have you ever heard of the new site called Temu?
I believe I have heard. It's like a site that all the kids are talking about these days.
Yes, all the kids are talking about. I saw it advertised on a podcast I listened to a couple weeks ago, mentioned it to my kid, and it's advertising a lot of like things for teens and younger, right? I guess the best way I could explain it is it's a cross between Amazon and Wish. If you're familiar with Wish, I'm sure people are familiar with Amazon. Hak Patui. And I want to throw, I don't have it loaded up, but this is a light, all heat, no heaters thing where we got our affiliate status taken away by Amazon like 4 months ago, right?
Yep.
And this week I've gotten 2 emails from Amazon about like, oh, we're doing like an affiliates thing, and like, you know, make sure you sign up and find out about it. And like, I can't log into my account because the account's suspended. So the second email I got, I replied to them and I'm like, you suspended my account 4 months ago. I tried to reopen it and you denied it. I unsubscribed from these emails at that time. Now I'm getting them again. And because my account is suspended, I can't unsubscribe from these emails. Either reinstate my affiliate status so I can unsubscribe from these emails or stop sending me these emails. So anyway, a bunch of the stuff that my kid watches and plays and so forth has these Temu ads on there. And listen, it's a piece of junk. I guarantee it'll be a piece of junk. It looks like a Game Boy Color, okay? And it advertises that it has 400 games on it. Now I know it ain't 400 Game Boy games on there, right?
Yeah.
But it was $7, and he's like, I want it. Here's $7. Could you order it for me? I'm like, yeah, whatever, right? So the problem with Temu is it's a $10 minimum on your order. You can't order anything less than $10. So I'm like, okay, what could I get for less than $3 with tax and everything else rounded up? So I'm searching because I don't want to just like, oh, I'll just get this random thing for me that I know will be a piece of junk that I spent a bunch of money on just so I can get over that $10 threshold. I'm going to kiss up as close to that $10 threshold, you know? So I found a pair of earbuds that kind of sort of look like wired earbuds that kind of sort of look like the ones that I use on a regular basis that were like $3.02. And when everything was said and done with tax, my total was $10.19. So I'm over $10. So I got myself another pair of earbuds off Temu. We'll see how they work. There is legitimate stuff on Temu. The monitor that my wife got for me for my birthday, I searched it out on Temu, and I'm like, oh, it's a monitor. It's got speakers built in. It's only like $70 or whatever it is. So I ran like the SKU through Amazon and Best Buy and a bunch of other sites, and the SKU came up with like the same model, and it was like within $5 of the Temu price. So I'm like, okay, there's legitimate stuff on Temu, but it's a site that I'm not familiar with, so I don't feel comfortable ordering from it, you know?
Yeah.
But my kid wanted the thing, so I have a Temu account. I ordered something from Temu. I'm sure when the thing comes in and it's a piece of junk, he'll be done with it, and hopefully the earbuds, if they're a piece of junk, I'll just feed them to my cat, you know?
Yeah, I'm curious how that gaming thing works out, because a lot of times what these things are, whether they're on like anywhere from like AliExpress or Amazon or whatever, they're just running, they're Android based, they run an emulator, and it's like, here's a ton of like Nintendo games, and it might be shaped like a Game Boy, but like they'll have all the old 8-bit Nintendo games on it, and like 16-bit games for the Super Nintendo and whatever. Because I've been tempted to buy one of those cheap consoles that are on Amazon that's like 10,000 games for $50, just because even though I know half of those games are just like Japanese ROMs of like the US games, I still just want something that I can play Mario Brothers on, you know, like Mario 1, 2, 3, that kind of stuff. But
I have, you know, obviously I have the SNES Mini, you know, which is what have you, but then I have on my list, and it actually came good reviews. It's a little bit more expensive. It's this thing. It's $120, if you can see it on the screen there.
Yep.
And it has 11,700 games on it.
Yeah, I've watched some YouTube reviews of some of those things, and like I said, it's just like they'll be like, all right, here's Mario Brothers 1, but then here's 50 other versions of it in different languages, and they're counting that as 50 different games.
Right,
you know,
and
so
that's what I'm
had it out.
Right, because they don't give you the full list of the games, you know?
Yeah.
And they didn't give you the full list of the games on the thing, the Game Boy thing that I got for my kid, but I'll roll the dice on his $7. I won't roll the dice on my $120, you know?
Yeah, and some of the ones that I think I have one or two on my Amazon wish list that are maybe in like the $60 range, you know, like I've managed to figure out which ones are a little bit less, because I don't need two controllers or any of that shit, but they're all garbage, but I still want to try one.
Right, and I'll let you know how this one is when it comes in. Cool. What inspired him to look into this was, you know, with the celebration at McDonald's around Grimace's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It's web-based, but it looks like the Game Boy Color interface. It's a Grimace skating game. Okay. And then, of course, because he plays that, then his YouTube recommendations are all like, we review the top 10 Pokemon knockoff games. We review the top 10 Mario knockoff games. And then he's watching those. So then he gets like the knockoff games in his head. And I think he knows that it's going to be mostly knockoff games, but I think he just wants to give it a try as well, you know?
Yeah, $7, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And then my $3 for earbuds that I usually buy, like the top of the line ones for like that are for my MP3 player off of Amazon Huck Patui for $6, you know?
Yeah. My last thing, and this isn't a purchase, but friend of the show, Zach from Rubber City Toys, sent me along one of his latest productions. I'm going to shoot it over to you. This is actually something that I talked about when I saw him tease it a month or so ago over on Instagram. But he sent me the glow-in-the-dark Doomhausen figure.
Oh, look at that. That's pretty funky.
Yeah, and the glow feature on it, I took a picture and I sent it to Joe. It's of what it looks like glowing. It's got some solid glow to it, but really nice figures. I like these like kind of boutique small business wrestling figures. Like he did one for Derek Dillinger and Eddie Only and other Danhausen ones. And I think that if you're like a toyetic man wearing a mask with husks on it and you got shafted out of getting a major bendy, maybe something like this would be suitable, like, what do we say, just to tide them over until the big fig deal comes in, you know, like a smaller production thing like Rubber City Toys does. But thank you, Zach. This thing's awesome. I'd said that I wanted one and he hooked me up, so I'll be tweeting this out tomorrow.
Now, is this an officially licensed or recognized piece of Danhausen merchandise?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'd assume it is, just because of the fact that, like, and again, I don't base this on anything, but like I know that a lot of Zach's stuff, Rubber City Toys stuff, has been sold by the wrestlers at their gimmick table. But I also know that Mr. Daniel Hausen has been under fire lately for like arguing with people over licensing of merch and stuff like that. So I don't know if this one was done with a blessing or not. I assume it was, but
yes, he's been very gotten to Hausen lately.
Yes, he's been an angry little boy Hausen.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure all his dreams will come true and everything will be better this Saturday.
Yeah, but regardless of that, it's a really cool little figure.
Yeah. Is that it? That's all?
That's all I got. Like I said, just a lot of cheap cards. Those figures that I pre-ordered that were non-wrestling. Again, this is 2 weeks in a row. If you don't count the Doomhausen figure, without a wrestling figure purchased. I did get my CM Punk versus MJF Blood and Guts figure in today.
Oh, okay.
And the box is shit.
Oh, that's
They crammed it into a priority mail box that had no business going into. With like I don't want to say there was not enough room for padding. There wasn't enough room for the actual figure box. I'm super pissed. Like you spend $60 and then you wait like 5 months, and they take your money right off the rip, and it's like, oh hey, they should have just thrown a fucking stamp on the thing, at least saved in recycling, not waste the money on the box. Just throw a stamp on the figure and just send it to me. It would have came in the same condition, but I got that.
So what are you doing? You looking to get a replacement on it, or you just?
Honestly, my buddy's kid's birthday is coming up, and I buy him wrestling figures. I might just give him that and then wait for it to go on sale and buy another one.
Gotcha.
So I just opened it up and I was like, this is why a collector of my stature can't buy figures if you're not buying them in person. Like I hate ordering in the mail from these companies that don't treat them like collectibles and just be like, nah, it's still sealed. Take it.
What company did you buy this from?
It's a Ringside exclusive.
Oh, Ringside Collectibles?
Oh, yeah. No,
you would think they would know how to handle collectibles a little bit better?
Well, they don't guarantee mint on box, except for when they sell the damaged packaged ones for $1 less,
Yeah.
So apparently they can't tell the difference. But that wasn't an all heat, no heaters. That was just a me not buying wrestling figure story.
Yeah. I got nothing really, there's been nothing really striking my fancy. There was the announcement of the Eddie Kingston Walmart figure. Yeah. There was a teased LA Knight basic, but no official announcement on that. But, those are the things I could see. We'll see what people have at the merch tables at LVAC this weekend. Typically I'm more of a food guy at the shows. I partake in the vegan treats and stuff that they have there. But, we'll see what new stuff is there.
Yeah, no, I'll have to go over and get some. I need to get some Mark photos.
Yeah.
I don't think I got any last time I was at LVAC.
I think the time before you did, but not the, yeah.
Yeah, I think the time before, I think it was CPA and, obviously friends of the show and whatnot. But last time I did it, I wanted to get a picture with Ian Riccaboni last time, but I was outside and I missed him and things came up. But so.
Yeah, if he's there, there's a good chance he'll be there tomorrow. No guarantees, but if he is, I'll make sure to point you in his direction or vice versa. How about that?
Perfect. Yeah, I got to do a better job,
Yes.
But that's it for me, Joe.
All right, that's it for me as well. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show this week. Of course, this was episode 246 of At Odds with Wrestling. For Adam, this is Joe saying be safe out there and enjoy some wrestling.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.